Hello, welcome back. Now, to be perfectly honest, I lost my mojo a little bit on the bike, and it comes with, you know, not having the accountability and the next upcoming race that is not dictated by someone else to me, but is very much on me. And the reason I lost my mojo was three things. Number one, the National 50, and John Archibald beat me by 4 minutes. And the worst thing about it for me is I got to the finish line thinking, I've had an excellent ride. That was almost world class from me. I get back to HQ and they're like, oh yeah, John's just gone and beaten Adam Duggleby by 3 minutes, who's beaten you by 1. I was like, oh. It really hurt, because I didn't have an answer. I didn't that was that. And then I don't have a power meter, so I don't know exactly how good or bad it was, but it just felt good. You know, 30 mile an hour ride on, that's 49 kilometers an hour for you guys that operate in that metric. For 80k, 50 miles, it's like on a, you know, certainly not a drag strip course. And, you know, John is in perilous form. He's cleaned up the CTT Nationals, he's decimated not decimated, but beaten the 100-mile comp record. So yeah, there was that. Then what followed that was the triathlon I did, which was good fun, enjoyed it, did quite well, relatively speaking. And then but crashed on the bike, and I really skinned myself. And it was one of those crashes, when people have asked what happened, it's one of those crashes where I've said, you know, every decade you have a crash that's completely your fault, would have been totally avoidable, and you just made an error. And like Ryan Mullen, I was like, yeah, right, that's what happened. That's what happened. I looked down at my Garmin, and then I looked up, and the road was going to the left, and I was not, and I panicked. I panicked because I think all week I'd borrowed a friend's bike whose brakes were set up the British way, and I run my brakes the European way. And now, interestingly, now that I ride a little girl to school on British brakes, and my bikes are set up European brakes, it's actually giving me more confusion than I've ever had. So I think in that moment of panic, I didn't know which brake to grab. So I did what you shouldn't do, and I just grabbed both of them really hard and resigned myself to the fact that I was going to hit the floor, which I did, and I really skinned myself. Then I went on a 2.5-week holiday, which was very, look at this. Just about as I'm talking about him, look who's Zwifting at the moment. John Archibald. It's haunting me. Haunting. So that's the second one. Yeah, and then I went on holiday, and I had ambitions of, we went to Bali. It was lovely. Basically, we met Chanel's family. In their words, halfway. Bali's like an 18-hour travel for us, so it's definitely their side of halfway, but it was lovely nonetheless. I had ambitions of running, riding, whatever, but ultimately I ended up really enjoying the holiday without any worries. And since getting back, it's been hard getting back into it, because I also have something coming up which I will tell you about soon for next year. A bit of a change of direction for me for next year. Now the problem with all this is I do have at least one event left this year, and that is the London 3-Day. You'll have seen in a previous video I did a bike fit for it, made sure my track bike was on point, which it was. And well, London 3-Day, I'm partnered with Owain Doull, who rides for EF at the moment. It's very, very good. Olympic champion on the track in 2016, Rio. I've got to not hold him up. So I need to get my ass into gear and get training. I did do a Zwift session the other day. I couldn't finish it. So today I am going to do a ramp test, just to see where the FTP is right now, get a month's training in, I'll do another one, I'll show you how it's gone, then we'll do the London 3-day, and hopefully I won't be a complete disgrace in front of some sold out stands at the Lee Valley Velodrome in London at the end of October. So let's see how this goes. In terms of picking ramp tests, I don't like the 20-minute one. It's probably the most accurate one. I just don't really want to do that ever again in my lifetime. I'll happily do a 10-mile TT, which to me is the same, but I do not want to do this. I'm thinking either this or this, probably this one. Let's go for this one. I can tell you right now, we're not gonna get to there. We're gonna start here, and then we're gonna get to somewhere, hopefully around here. Let's do the mighty Metropolitan. In terms of completing routes on Zwift, I'm not doing badly at all. Not badly at all. I'm doing all right. Right, so a ramp, for those of you who don't know, ramp test is basically power under the pedals gets harder and harder and harder until you cannot go anymore. I believe Zwift takes your average power from your last minute of a ramp test and then does kind of equation to see where it's at. I have done this on here before. The thing is with ramp tests, there is an element of getting better at them. There is that. So I'd say your first, perhaps your third ramp test is a true reflection of where you're at. Now I wouldn't mind betting I'm going to get to somewhere around here. And let me explain this area here, you're like, come on, just want to get going. And if this is how you do a ramp test, around this section, you really keep a lid on things. You just try and, you don't want to be eager, because you just enjoy the fact that this is going to be 5 minutes of cruising. And then kind of from here to here, it's like, okay, there's some pressure under the pedals now. From here to here, so from your 300 to 360, this is for me, traditionally, this is like this is hurting a little bit now. And I'm not even at the business end of the ramp test. That's unpleasant. We really don't like that part of the ramp test one bit. Because you're just waiting to go, you're waiting for the end. You know it's not gonna get easier. You know it's only gonna get harder. Just pretty unpleasant, really. And then you're into the business end, but actually you're kind of working out that really you want to be getting into here. And here is when you're here, like 1 minute at 4:20, that's a lot. You're like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes away from the end here at full fitness. And you're like, oh, that's still a long way to go. And it doesn't get easier. It really doesn't. So you just, and then you're like, oh, come on. And then there's a lot of mental battles, I think, that go on. But when I did ramp test as a kid, someone did tell me, I asked the question, if I failed, if you can, I ended the ramp test, I was done at like, I can't remember what, 15 seconds from the end of that minute and the start of the next. And immediately you're like, oh, I could have done that extra 15 seconds. And I said to Matt Parker, who was running it at the time, I said, what would my results be, my zones, whatever, be if I'd got to that end of that 15 seconds? And he was like, 2 watts more or something. I was like, okay, I can live with that. So now, since then, I reckon I probably finished 15 seconds before my true finish line. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's do up my shoelaces, go grab a bottle of water or mix, because I've just realised these are empty cages. And get going. Begun. 1 minute at 100 watts. And this is what you really enjoy. Hello. This is what you just really enjoy doing, close to bugger all power. There's going to be less of that later. Oh, 120 watts. Right, so now 240. So this is where it just, for me, starts to get uncomfortable. A nuisance, annoying. You're like, you want it to still be easy, but it just isn't. You're like, there it is. It is beginning. The ramp test is beginning. Yeah, just started 340. Heart rate's 142. This is probably where I start going a little bit quiet, having to really concentrate. I'd like to get deep into the 400s if possible. So I got to, well, it's very kind of Swift. I started 460. When I say started, I did about 2 seconds of it. I'd almost resigned myself to the fact I wasn't finishing 460, so it's easy to not start it. Gave me an FTP of 331. Interesting, maximum heart rate just tipped over 170, which is, not high. I don't know if when my zones have all changed, I think there's been reports of Pogacar recently, his zone 2 being extraordinarily high. Van der Poel running a 10k and not an outrageous time, but with an outrageous heart rate for the time, and that's your zone 2 training giving you that. It's efficiency, it's being at your heart rate not coming up until you absolutely need it at the high powers. So I remember the stages of UAE Tour was an average heart rate of like 100 beats a minute. It's just where you're just being so well trained and with such a high base. That's what that was giving me, and that's kind of what was first to go. I could still do decent power for like 20 minutes with a 10. I just noticed my ride to the cafe and back was 10 beats a minute higher. And that then, maximum heart rate wasn't high at all. In an ideal world, I'm getting low 180s. But like the mid-test heart rate in the high 200s, low 300s, power, where my heart rate was still 140, 140s, and then obviously into 150s. It just doesn't give you far to go from that. So so it's interesting. It is interesting. I'm not. My whole thing was always aero, not physiology, but you certainly see that now that I don't do it, now that I do like, not recently, but 8 to 12 hour weeks rather than 20 to 30 hour weeks, I see where I've lost some, and that is in the mid-range. And if we go in Swift racing, it's going to have an effect there as well, because again, just in that, all floating around the mid power wattages, my heart rate's just going to be a bit higher, and that's what it is now. That's what it is. 330, 53. I thought that it's not surprising given the session I couldn't finish the other day. doesn't make it any less disappointing. So I think it's safe to say I have some work to do ahead of the London 3-day to not let a Wayne Dawn down, but it'll be fun. I wanted to do 6-day racing when I was in the under 23 team, and for one reason or another I never got picked, which is a shame because it was always meant to be about experience. You know, in the grand scheme of professional racing, they're not looked at for selection for anything really, but they're a fun thing to do, especially on the little tracks like at Ghent and whatnot. Real test of your bike handling. Madison in itself is a test of your bike handling, as it is your awareness, your cognitive awareness has to be sky high. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this, my inaugural 6-day type race condensed into 3. There's a lot of Olympians there, there's a lot of Olympic champions there. There's me, the time trial guy, the road guy, the retired a couple of years ago guy, but there'll be, there's one junior with us, Will Gilbank, and yeah, I think it's going to be really fun. This is at Lee Valley. I believe it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 25th, 26th, 27th of October. I'll put everything you need below on where to buy tickets. It's going to be, well, if you want to see me suffer, then yeah. And that's the thing actually with it. There's no massive gears. There is a gear restriction. There's no aero helmets allowed, so traditional road racing helmets. And there's also, because you've got Madison jerseys, because you've got Madison jerseys, there's no skin suits allowed either, so it's may make for a slightly different kind of racing where it's not just outright speed. I think it might not affect racing as much because ultimately everyone's still in the same boat, but it might affect the mentality of some riders who don't have all of those aero tricks with them. Yeah, there's going to be a variety of races, Madison, Gurney races, traditional scratch races, sprints. There's a very cool event involving a member of the public, the general public, and a world-class sprinter, which you will find out about. And yeah, it's going to be a good laugh. So anyway, it'll be a good laugh for everyone bar me, unless I scrape together some fitness in the next 3 to 4 weeks. Thanks for watching from a 331 watt FTP watch biker.